All right, welcome to Inside the Mind of this black metal mercantile guy. Uh, Whenever I post an image on my social media, sometimes it's just a post, but whenever you see something that I put together, there's usually some kind of thought behind the scenes of that image. So here you see my base colorful background, and that I knew I wanted something colorful and abstract. So that was the keywords to find this image. And then, let's see, you got to have the number one thing you start with, the logo. Got to get the logo on there. Now, you can just throw the logo on there and it will be like that. But I like to, probably my number one go-to is drop shadows. I know some people think it's dated, whatever. I like drop shadows. So we had the drop shadow on there. I chose a purple to complement the purple in the image. So that's the number one thing, and finding where I want to place that logo. But after that, let's see. The second thing I added after that, I knew I wanted a clock. And I like old school Roman numeral clocks. So I found a really cool one on a stock photo site. And then, so we put the clock in there. And of course, you got to do something with it. So I chose the overlay mode on the clock on this one. So there's normal. It's still kind of cool normal, but to fit the image the way I want, there's got a ton of options, but I like the way overlay settled the clock into the image, allowed the colors to come through, but still allowed the clock colors to interact with the background. And then next, I knew clock, time's ticking, it's New Year's Eve, we're going into 2026. So the year is melting away. So I said, I want dripping paint to represent melt. So I got the paint in there. Same thing. I rarely use an image as is. I usually got some kind of adjustments going on with the imagery. So that one I chose divide mode, and it just worked well with the rest of the image. So we got the melting away of the year. You got the clock ticking down on New Year's Eve. Got your abstract background, what I like, the logo. So next, I wanted, thinking about adventure into the next year, adventure. So the raw image was that. I was like, you know what? That is actually perfect. Welcoming in 2026. So I cut the dude out, and we end up with, there he is. I went with the silhouette, straight silhouette. After playing around with the cutout and getting it just right, wrapped it around the clock. I actually use a mask, cut it off of the clock so it goes behind the clock area. And then you're turning the page onto the next year, right? So here we go. Just a simple, easy page turning in the bottom right corner there. And then, of course, you got to have the year. What are we waiting for? It's 2025. It's 5:45 p.m. on December 31st as of right now. And so, boom. And of course, I could have just put simple numbers. Well, what's the fun in that? So I split up 2026 and applied some transforms, some distorts, some of the built-in filters. I think I used warp, ripple, twist, and a couple of the others built in there. It worked perfect for this. They're kind of falling down. Again, it interacts with the colors. You got the guy welcoming in 2026, melting away of the year, clock's ticking, we're turning the page. That's the thought process that happens with me. It's my problem, which is also my little unique feature that whenever I post an image, there's usually a story behind it. And there you have the story of the black metal mercantile closing out 2025, welcoming in 2026. Hope you enjoyed.